Want an unfair advantage to dominate your fantasy football league? Look no further and download SquadQL, the only mobile app you need to crush your friends and rivals. SquadQL recommends the best starting lineup for each week based on your starters, bench players, and free agent pool. SquadQL provides waiver and trade recommendations too. Go to squadql.com to download the app for free. SquadQL is brought to you by the creators of RotoQL.
Don't forget to check out the DFS Pass if you're playing on FanDuel, DraftKings, or Draft this weekend. It's got all the inside information you need to dominate in DFS and have a little extra fun this weekend. That's DFSPass.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Ouch! Ouch! Ah! What's up?
Me? I'm soaring through the atmosphere right now.
Welcome into the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, Andy, Mike, and
propelled
Jason.
by Baker Mania, sustaining
I have
my life.
one simple question. Now, this question is for Jason.
Okay.
How much time did you spend last night attempting to pull your front two teeth apart a little bit?
Yes, I want to be Baker.
Now Mike's already got that on lockdown. He's got the Baker front two teeth. I just want to know how much
gap.
Did you go for gap last night?
I went for teeth black. That's what I like. Teeth blackout. A little marker that I can just write a little line right down the middle.
The beard, you got the beard.
Yeah,
I've seen you throw a football. That part you don't have.
No, I can't throw like Baker. Certainly not.
Welcome in. Great show for you today. We have some news. We'll go in and out, let you know what we think about the injuries that are cropping up, whether people will play. We'll talk about that Thursday night game, Baker Mayfield and others. And we'll get into we'll have a daily dose on the show, the rest of the fantasy forecast, my almost upset. It'll be fun. It's going to be a good day. I don't know where to go from here. Let's just jump into the Thursday night recap because there are massive fantasy football implications.
Massive.
When you talk about the potential for Baker Mayfield to start here on out, it's like, Mike, you made a World of Warcraft joke 2 days ago, much to the enjoyment of about 8% of our audience.
Hey,
and
we're strong.
Here's the thing. Baker Mayfield represents one of those party buffs, that group buff. Where he powers up everybody else.
I make one of the nerdiest jokes this show has ever seen, where
yes.
I just talk about playing World of Warcraft, but now you're talking about actual in-game mechanics.
Not from World of Warcraft, just in general, like any in-game mechanic where your party increases in value. Carlos Hyde, Jarvis Landry, Antonio Callaway, David Njoku.
It's an AOE. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but do I need to address Tyrod? Do I need to eulogize?
I mean, you can. Like, we got to make sure that Hugh Jackson does the right thing first.
Oh, he can't. Like, I made a tweet halfway through the game about how if Baker somehow brings the team back and looks magical, Hugh Jackson will make him the backup because he's just an idiot. And then after the game, he's like, well, I got to go look at the film. Were you not watching the
I can't
game?
excuse the words.
The verbiage?
The verbiage. I do think it's respectful when you've made a commitment to a starter like Tyrod to speak to him before you go to the media and say, Baker's our guy.
Sure.
But to say I've got to go watch the tape is ridiculous. It's like a coach trying to do coach speak, like
exactly,
like he read a book on it.
That's Hugh
like
Jackson.
He's like, what would coach speak be right now? Let me check my list.
Did you also see him defending the Philly special that they ran? Basically, pretty much saying, no, I didn't take that. We've been running that for years. You're like, who cares, man?
It was great.
It was a great call. It worked. You don't have to pretend that you invented this play. We've seen it.
So, nuts and bolts here. Tyrod, I thought he would have success because he doesn't make mistakes and they have a great defense. Denzel Ward is legit. Myles Garrett is legit. Greg Williams, The amount of looks they showed Sam Darnold yesterday made Darnold look like a late round draft pick.
It looked rough.
So, I thought Tyrod would be able to do enough. There's no excuse for the way he played to start that game. I would have, you hope he's okay, obviously, with the concussion and things like that. But we were all on Baker watch anyway. We thought if he didn't score in the first half, Baker, you'd see him in the second half anyway.
Tyrod Taylor is going to have the slowest concussion protocol progression of all time. It's going to be,
possible.
That's the one way that Hugh Jackson can, have Baker be the starter and not go back on his word to Tyrod.
Hugh needs to be
injured.
Be happy you won. You don't win that game. The controversy and the debate and all that stuff becomes much more annoying and prominent. I mean, I don't know what happened between the whole team played better with Baker. Tyrod was getting blitzed out of his mind. He was being and he wasn't making throws to the middle of the field. Obviously, Baker did that and changed the whole defense. But
the Jets were not scared at all of what Tyrod was bringing to the offense. That's why they were able to defend him the way that they were.
Absolutely correct. So looking forward with Baker Mayfield very likely behind center, I have almost no doubt that he'll be the quarterback to start week 4. 10 days away. Looking forward, obviously Sam Darnold came out, had a great performance in week 1. Teams have adjusted. What are your expectations for Baker as a fantasy player? And do you view him more as the AOE upgrade for Jarvis Landry and Callaway and company than a startable fantasy asset in and of himself? What is your perspective on the whole Browns offense?
Yeah, I think everybody gets a bump up. Jarvis Landry becomes an absolute, if he's not a wide receiver 1, then he's one of the best wide receiver 2s out there. Everyone gets a bump, and I believe Baker Mayfield, and I mean, he's not by any means, he's a rookie. Yes. He's not just you got to start Baker because he looked great. But he is a guy that in a good matchup should be started. He's not someone I'm shying away from because he's a rookie. He did on the field.
You're not blowing the number 1 waiver priority to grab Baker Mayfield. People are going to ask that question.
No, if it's not a Pat Mahomes level fire,
right?
I would never blow that waiver for a quarterback.
Sure, and
this team is going to do what they can to protect Baker as well, which is you saw this around the goal line. They're going to run the ball.
Yeah,
that's the way they're going to run the offense.
I was going to bring up Carlos Hyde. I pumped the brakes on Carlos Hyde this week because I wasn't expecting Baker Mania to break out at halftime. And, yeah, Hyde he had a couple good runs for the first half, but the offense as a whole was really, really bad. And that was what I was so nervous about for Carlos Hyde. But now you saw it. You saw the Jets freak out. They had to actually defend the pass. That made things a lot easier for Carlos Hyde, who will continue to be the guy.
Yeah, this is great for Hyde.
So this is great news for Carlos Hyde.
Carlos Hyde, it was his birthday yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
His wife is in labor. He's about to have a child. He goes out there and drops 2 touchdowns.
I had to feel good.
Against my dynasty team.
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball, are you ready to cut Robbie Anderson and say goodbye?
I already cut him. So, yes, 100%. If he's still on your roster, I am fine cutting him as I was last week and even after week 1.
Robbie Anderson has a wall dedicated to Josh McCown. He's cut out every picture. He's pasted it up on the wall. It's a little creepy, but
yeah, if Darnold were to go down to injury, I will rush to the waiver wire for Robbie Anderson. His talent is there, but this offense right now with a rookie Sam Darnold is not built for his skill set. Quincy Enunwa is the clear primary target, but even still, this is not a high-powered offense that you really need to start the leader of the receiving corps.
Jermaine Kearse is back, was second on the team in targets. It's another problem for Robbie Anderson. What do you make of the Powell-Crowell split? 16 carries for Crowell, 2 touchdowns on 34 yards. And then Bilal Powell looked electric, 14 for 73. Perennially underutilized Bilal Powell now in he's in a timeshare, and Darnold hasn't looked like he's going to keep people accountable through the air thus far this season. So do you expect big things from these guys, or are you going to be a little frustrated knowing which one to start?
You are going to be frustrated. It's if you have to make the choice between the two, number one, I'm sorry for your loss that you have to make that decision every week, but it would be Powell on a weekly basis for me. Crowell is going to be touchdown or bust. Now, it worked out. I had a lot of people sliding into my mentions being, man, I benched Crowell. That was the right call. The process of benching Crowell against this Cleveland Browns offense,
34 yards
on the road, was the right call. Bilal Powell looks like the much better running back, but they're just gonna destroy each other's fantasy value until we can get some actual checkdowns to Bilal Powell in the opportunity that Sam Darnold had to bring the team back for a game-winning score. He didn't look to check it down to his running back at all. He forced some things, including that last throw, which was horrendous. Meanwhile, Bilal Powell was wide open. So there's some growing pains that Sam Darnold is going to experience, and Bilal Powell is affected by that.
You know what stinks for Browns? Look, Cleveland.
I'm so excited.
So excited for you. Like I am thrilled, and right now I am a believer in your team. I think with Baker, you've got a good offense, and I know you've got a good defense. Hopefully they can overcome your head coach, which I believe sometimes they can. But what stinks is they could, like, I believe that if they had made Baker their starter, they'd be 3-0 right now. They were so close in both of the week 1 and week 2. It's a shame, and they would have been 0-3. I mean, they were down, what, 14,
They might have been
3-0
if they had a different kicker, too. I mean, in Tyrod's defense, like the cheat code of Tyrod Taylor panned out in the first 2 weeks, 28 fantasy points, 20 fantasy points. The problem was they bounced all over themselves for 2 straight weeks, and they did manage to tie Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, which was, I think, that showed me that the Browns were going to compete this year as opposed to be outmatched this year. Their defense is good. Their kicker situation, I don't know if it's fixed.
That was in Cleveland, right?
Yeah, it was in Cleveland. But last question about this for Jason. Antonio Callaway, he only had 4 receptions for 20 yards, but that utilization of him breaking free, Tyrod Taylor underthrew Callaway on a for sure touchdown.
Callaway also dropped a dime from Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that was Baker's best pass of the night. But I'm saying he's getting used.
I want him.
He is extremely talented.
I want him.
There was another play where he broke free as well, but Tyrod didn't see it. So what's your temperature on Callaway?
Claiborne
now?
Was holding him all night.
Temperature is certainly heating
rising
up. Oh, for sure. I mean, you've got a guy now that can find him, hit him. Whenever you've got the combination of a wide receiver that is getting open and making plays, and then you've got a quarterback that will hit an open wide receiver, that's a pretty good combination. And next week they're playing the Raiders. I think people
were just catching passes better for Baker. I mean, his throw to Landry, not a great throw. Landry made a play. His throw to Njoku, way behind him. Njoku made a great play. They were just the energy on that team changed.
Yeah,
there was hope in the building. And Jason, eventually you'll get those teeth separated. Let's play in and out.
What's it gonna be, McFly? Are you in or out?
Marcus Mariota, Aaron Rodgers.
Well, Rodgers is in. I mean, he's just not going to practice for probably half of the year, if not the entire year, but he will play. Mariota, I don't have a good read on if Mariota is going to play or not. Jason, do you?
Yeah, the offensive coordinator, Matt LaFleur, said he's looking good in practice. If he's looking good in practice, I think he plays, and they need him to.
A reminder, this is our projection on who we think is going to start and sit. If you want to be up to date to the minute, we have a game day alerts that we release on jointhefoot.com Sunday morning. Mike is on his Sunday live stream on Sunday morning. But right now, this is where we're at with these guys. Dalvin Cook with the hamstring didn't practice Thursday, in or out?
I'm
an out.
I think, I lean out.
If I were the head coach and I'm playing Buffalo, there's no way I'm risking Dalvin Cook. I mean, the reports are that he's still going to play. They're just resting him. So he might be in, and if he's in, you play him.
Pick up Latavius Murray.
Of course.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do.
Leonard Fournette, hamstring injury, in or out?
In.
TJ Eldon, ankle injury.
In.
Jay Ajayi, back injury.
Out.
Darren Sproles, hamstring.
Out.
LaShawn McCoy with the ribs.
Out.
He's getting in limited practices, but
out
wearing
regardless.
I'm wearing a non-contact jersey while he's at it. I lean Out, but I'm with Jason. It will not shock me if Shady suits up, but I don't want to play him.
Marshawn Lynch, shoulder injury, limited Thursday.
In
Beast mode plays.
Derrick Henry, back injury, limited Thursday.
I think he's in.
Yep. Agreed.
Marlon Mack, foot, hamstring, didn't practice Thursday or today.
I'm going to say out. I mean,
he's an out. He's an out.
When he had a hamstring injury, gets back in the game, and now is missing practice, that's no bueno.
Jordan Wilkins,
Yes.
moving up.
Jordan Wilkins or Philip Lindsay?
Great question.
Asking for a friend.
Of course.
Asking for a friend.
Based on the matchup,
I'm
not going to take Wilkins against Philadelphia.
Yeah, you've got Lindsay against Baltimore.
Yeah.
Both of them on the road.
I lean Wilkins.
All right. Wide receiver, in or out? DeAndre Hopkins?
In.
Will Fuller?
In.
T.Y. Hilton?
In.
Josh Gordon?
No clue.
I'm going to say out.
Do you care? This week? Would you start him this week?
No, I care a lot.
Well, that's all I mean. Do you think he'll be does it matter to your fantasy team?
No.
Julio Jones?
He is fine.
Larry Fitzgerald?
We got beat reporters saying that Larry Fitzgerald will go.
Chris Godwin?
I think he's in.
Yep.
Marquise Goodwin?
He's finally practicing in part.
I think he'll play.
I do as well.
If he plays, is he automatically into your lineup?
I don't know if anybody is automatically, but yes.
What did I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable for you?
It was just funny. Alshon Jeffrey shoulder injury.
Out.
Ted Ginn?
In.
Paul Richardson?
Yeah.
Who
Doesn't
cares?
matter. So what?
So what? Who cares? Cole Beasley?
Oh. He'll be spreading those Beasles.
So what?
Travis Benjamin? Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
nope.
Tight ends, Evan Ingram.
He will play. Head coach Pat Shurmur says he's fine.
Jack Doyle did not practice Thursday or Friday.
That's troublesome.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard too many details on this injury, but if you don't practice on a Friday, usually you don't play.
Locked and loaded Eric Ebron in that situation?
Yes.
Certainly.
Rob Gronkowski ankle injury popped up. I watched
It's nothing.
I watched Ian Rappaport talk about this.
This is a new record, guys. It took till week 3 that we got an injury report for Rob Gronkowski. So he's doing well. And he's going to play.
Very healthy.
ASJ?
Certainly playing. He's been dealing with this core injury since before week 1. He's
His
playing every week.
processor.
Yep.
Tyrod gave me a core injury last night.
We tried to warn you.
Let's thank Pristine Auction for supporting the show before we get into Fantasy Forecast. Pristine Auction, the absolute best place to find autographed sports memorabilia. Hundreds of auctions end every single day, which means you have a chance to steal something nice at a really good price.
Oh!
Aaron Jones signed Packers jersey, $51. Tyreek Hill signed Chiefs mini helmet, $58. Antonio Brown signed Steelers jersey, $89. Odell Beckham Jr. signed Giants jersey, $92. These are the type of deals you get over there. All of them JSA authentic, certified. Only the best authenticators, only the best consigners. You do not need to mess around or worry about authenticity with Pristine Auction. They've been doing this for years. And look, they got it down. And you can find some steals over there at pristineauction.com. Again, pristineauction.com, PRISTINE auction.com.
Yeah, and hey, Footland, we want to remind you about HelloFresh. We haven't brought their name up in a little while, but long time sponsor of the show, and we've all used them forever as far as making fresh, home-cooked food, making it easy. Right now, school's getting back in the swing of things. You know, it's hard. You're picking up the kids. You're running them to school events and everything going on. It's like, where do you have the time to do the grocery shopping, to make the food, all of that? And it's so easy with HelloFresh. Easy to follow recipes, pre-measured ingredients. Everything comes in a nice, easy bag for quick cleanup. You can get extra leftovers for their school lunches, all sorts of stuff. And they even have a one-pot recipe on the menu every week for those really busy nights, when you need minimum cleanup and make it easy. Also, for a total of $60 off right now, that's $20 off your first 3 boxes, head to HelloFresh.com/footballers60 and enter the code footballers60. It's like receiving 6 meals free when you go to HelloFresh.com/footballers60 and enter code footballers60.
Fantasy Forecast.
Kurt Warner, I just wanted to bring this up. Kurt Warner has Baker Mania as well. He just tweeted out, he's watched the tape. The quick decision-making, anticipation, and confidence throwing the ball last night was better than a lot of starting quarterbacks.
Oh, my gosh. The number one pick is supposed to be good?
I'm just saying.
I've seen I've seen a lot of number one picks that don't look as good as Baker has.
I'm
looked
just
so
saying,
far.
Kurt Warner.
He has to be great.
No, he doesn't.
If you're the number one pick, you do.
Yeah,
that's why you get picked number one. You got to be great. Oh, we love Baker.
Yes.
Baker's amazing.
Yes.
But it's not. It shouldn't be like, oh my goodness, this is a surprise. You drafted him number one in the NFL.
Right. So you're admitting that Baker Mayfield's great, yet his head coach did not want to play him.
Right.
Yeah, like Aaron Rodgers. Is he great?
He was
his
not
head
drafted
coach didn't
number
want
one.
to play him. I mean,
that's true. He
give
wasn't.
me a break. You give a guy a chance.
He did look great, and
he's going to look bad at times this year too.
It was different, and we've seen so many rookies come in and not look anywhere near that. Jamarcus says what?
Okay, yeah, Jamarcus is the standard. All I'm saying is he's a great player. That's why he went number one. Made great plays. That's good. You want that to happen. Raiders take on the Dolphins. 0-2 Raiders against the 2-0 Dolphins. Dolphins -3 in this game, 43.5 point over-under. Dolphins are 2-0. Raiders looking for a win.
Yeah.
Derek Carr, Marshawn Lynch and company. Where are you feeling the love for this Raiders offense? I mean, Derek Carr had a very good game last week. Did not come away with the win. You know what?
Oh.
Wait, what?
Andy's almost upset of the week.
Raiders getting off the schneid in this one.
I agree. I have the Raiders winning this game. I think it's a good matchup for personnel. I mean, you look at the Raiders, they want to run the ball, they want to go beast mode, have Marshawn Lynch carry the load, and the Dolphins have been weak against the run this year. They're, in the bottom 10 of fantasy points given up against running back. Last year, they were even worse than that. So, the trend is continuing. I think you can bank on Marshawn Lynch this week, even on the road.
Marshawn, you're starting him. Amari Cooper, they involved him. Jordy Nelson does not seem like he's going to be anything this year.
Yeah. So how are you feeling about Amari Cooper with through 2 games of the season? The Dolphins' defense has been stout against fantasy wide receivers. Again, you got to take into account who they have played. But Amari Cooper does his own vanishing act from time to time. He reappears. It's a little bit like Groundhog Day, where once or twice, I mean, I know Groundhog Day is only once, but Amari Cooper once a season likes to pop his head up and say, I can do really good things on the football field, but then he goes away for the rest of the year.
Well, and the thing that he's done historically, I mean, this is 2 years of doing this, where when he has a big game, everyone chases it and starts him, and then he disappears. You bring up that the Dolphins have been good against the wide receiver this year. They were actually surprisingly good against the wide receiver last year, and part of that is because of how bad they were against the run. I mean, a lot of times when you've got a strength or a weakness that is more extreme, it falsely impacts other positions. If you can run on them, you don't need to throw the ball as much. So I'm not digging Amari Cooper that much this week, even coming off of the 10-target, 10-reception game. I just don't want to fall into the Cooper trap.
Well, anybody who drafted him has already fallen in. That's the problem. You fell in. Now you're down in the pit, and you've been trying to climb up those slippery walls. And I just don't think that fantasy owners are in a very comfortable position with Amari Cooper, because if you took him, you're stuck with a really tough decision every week. It's like, do you go in on Amari? You drafted him with semi-high draft capital.
I'm playing him this week.
You're playing him this week. And now let's ask the question about some specific players. I mean, are you playing him over? You're playing him over Corey Davis.
Yes.
Who faces Jacksonville. Are you playing him over Kenny Golladay against New England? Who would you rather play in that matchup?
I would probably put Cooper in.
That's what I would do.
And it would probably be the wrong decision. I mean, that's how I feel. Look, I've got Cooper on, my dominant 0-2 League of Record team.
Dominating
that winless start. And, off of a 10-target, 10-reception, over 100-yard performance, you try to trade him. You try to capitalize because I want to wash my hands. I want to get him clean.
Nelson Aguilar or Amari Cooper? Aguilar against Indianapolis.
Aguilar.
I would play.
Lore.
Yeah. Aguilar is just a guy that's really difficult for me to trust, and that's on me.
He was, I think he had a breakout last year. And with Carson Wentz coming back, with Alshon Jeffrey gone, if you can't trust him now,
when can you trust him?
If you don't know me
by now.
Sorry.
On the Miami side of the ball, the Dolphins have the highest run-to-pass ratio in the league, 51%. Run plays. The league average is 39%, so they are ground and pound right now. Kenyon Drake, Frank Gore, they're trying to take a little pressure off of Tannehill. What do you think about the Miami offense at home? They're 2-0.
Love
Drake. Playing well.
I love Drake.
Love the Drake.
Yep. The Raiders are susceptible. What is happening?
Well, he didn't get the Seinfeld reference, so he jumped into Drake the singer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Drake has been.
We saw Gurley handle business. We saw Philip Lindsay handle business against the Raiders. So I'm all in on Kenyon Drake this week.
Yeah. I couldn't believe that John Gruden came out and said that finding a pass rusher is difficult.
Oh, Gruden,
that's
very.
I love you, John.
Sounds like something Hugh Jackson would say.
It does.
All right, the Bills 0-2 take on the 1-0-1 Vikings. The Vikings are 16.5-point favorites, and the over-under is just 40 points. Will the Bills score in this matchup in Minnesota?
I do not think it will be a shutout. I do not think they will get to double-digit points.
Over under 6 points.
Ooh, 6 is the right point there.
I'm going to take the under.
All right.
3.
I think Allen will throw a touchdown in this game. So I think 10 points is about where you're expecting them to be.
Is that when Minnesota puts the third-string defense in?
It might be.
At the end of the game?
Yeah,
I think Allen will get him in the end zone.
There is not a Buffalo Bill that I would start under any circumstance. If Shady is in with his rib injury and what's going on against this defense with the anemic offense we've seen so far from the Bills, there's a matchup where I'll play Bills players. I would throw Kelvin Benjamin out there. I'd definitely play Shady. It's not the Vikings who I believe to have the best defense in the league. I'm benching them all. Period.
I'm benching them all.
Yep, agreed.
And by that I mean bench Shady because everyone else has been cut. Right?
Sure. So on the Minnesota
from fantasy rosters?
Yes, you posted a tweet
of your
Chris
joy. Ivory could be somebody that people are adding this week to try to grab a running back start.
Yeah, just in case.
Deeper leagues.
Sure, yeah.
On the Minnesota side of the ball, they're going to score points. Are you fine, though, with Kirk Cousins and the pass catchers? Because, and that may seem like a silly question, but it's if the Vikings just can totally dominate this game with Latavius Murray and Dalvin Cook, do you have any concerns that the passing game in Minnesota won't get it done?
No, the ceiling is not as high in this game, but they're going to be great. I mean, they're going to come out, they're going to throw the ball, they're going to get a lead, and in doing that, they will secure fantasy points for Thielen, for Diggs. It's just not going to be huge numbers.
You want to hear a ridiculous stat?
Sure.
Always.
Michael Thomas has 28 receptions, 269 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The Bills as a team have 29 receptions and 343 yards and 1 touchdown.
Buffalo.
So Michael Thomas versus the Bills, that's kind of a coin flip at this point.
I'll take Thomas.
Latavius Murray is the potential steal of this game.
Yes.
If Dalvin Cook is out and they're grinding the clock out, Latavius could have a very, very good game.
I think even if Dalvin Cook plays,
yes,
Latavius Murray is a sneaky snart.
I would rather start Latavius Murray right now without knowing what's happening with Cook than I would Chris Ivory in this game.
100%.
So, even if he had the backfield to himself. Right.
Look, if starts of the week were today and not yesterday, knowing that Dalvin missed another practice, I would have made Latavius Murray my start of the week to give people confidence. If he's on your roster, he should be started because even if Dalvin plays – why would you play him second half if you are up 16.5 points like Vegas thinks when Latavius Murray can get the job done?
Did you know that we make the rules on this show, Jason? So even though starts of the week was in fact yesterday,
Latavius
you
Murray
can actually switch.
Who was your start of the week yesterday?
My start of the
He
week.
doesn't even remember.
It was Lamar Miller.
Okay, are you making an official switch?
Sure.
Joe,
let's do it.
let's take it to the judge. Can we get
Judge,
a ruling?
Is
this allowed?
Latavius Murray.
You sure you don't want to wait to see if he practices today, Dalvin Cook, before you make
No.
it official?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the
fine.
ruling?
How
We're-
dare
we're
you
good?
try to
That's
protect
fine.
me?
All right.
That's fine.
He's trying to protect me, but my point is, even if Dalvin Cook is active and playing, based on what he's already missed, I think Latavius Murray is a fine start.
All right, let's move on to the Colts-Eagles matchup. Both teams sit at 1-1. Carson Wentz returns. Eagles are 6.5-point favorites. The game's a 47.5-point over-under. These two teams have the highest target shares for tight ends in the entire league. Now, it makes sense, right? You got Zach
Yeah,
Ertz
it
as the
does.
primary pass catcher in Philadelphia. And then it seems as though the tight ends are providing a very safe place for Andrew Luck in his return to the NFL. And we talked about Jack Doyle. Didn't practice on Thursday. Didn't practice on Friday. Eric Ebron looks like a very strong streaming tight end option.
Yes, he does.
With a lot of upside in this game, especially if we expect it to play out as Vegas does, which is Philadelphia winning this game, being in the lead. They need to throw the ball, and outside of Hilton, there's not a lot of options in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I completely agree. It could be like the Dalvin Cook situation where I still lean. I know that Eric Ebron has the production with the touchdowns, but I lean that Jack Doyle is the tight end from the team I'd rather have because he's getting on the field more. He has more snaps. He's running more routes, more opportunity. But if Jack Doyle is banged up, maybe Eric Ebron sees the snaps increase this week regardless of if Jack Doyle is out. So Eric Ebron is shaping up to be a very strong start.
You brought up Jesse James as your start of the week yesterday. Do you feel
Sure.
more comfortable with Jesse James or Eric Ebron if he's in a solo role?
Eric Ebron,
Yeah.
by a lot.
Yeah, me too.
This is also a game where I expect, like you said, Andy, the Colts will be passing more, and I don't think they're going to have success running the ball. Last year, the Eagles were the second most difficult matchup for running backs. This year, they've looked fantastic. No reason to believe that anything has changed for them there. With Marlon Mack injured, Jordan Wilkins and Nyheim Hines not being very talented, in my opinion, they're not going to have success there. So I like T.Y. Hilton, Ebron, and Luck. I'm high on all of them for this week, but I don't want to start one of the running backs from the Colts side of the ball.
Let me ask you this. We're still 2 games away. Are you giving any consideration, and this is deeper leagues, of course, 6 bench plus, are you going to stash Bob Turbin?
Because it's been
It's been a poop show.
Right.
At the running back situation, the team likes Robert Turbin. They've showed us that with
Don't
their
you have to
actions.
use 2 bench slots for those biceps? Isn't that the requirement for
Sure.
Turbin takes 2 spots?
But this is a legitimate question.
Yeah.
Do you think Robert Turbin is an okay stash at this point? He still has 2 more games on his suspension.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't wait 2 more. Once it's 1 more.
So next week,
Yeah.
after this weekend plays out, you'd let the waivers run through so you're not burning a priority or any kind of fab. Would you throw Robert Turbin on the back of the bench?
If I am in need of running back help, and like you said, it's a deeper league with deeper bench, then yes.
I'd still rather roster Jordan Wilkins than Bob Turbin.
Okay.
Certainly.
There's a lot more
if
upside.
both of them were on the waivers, I would grab Wilkins for sure.
I don't think we want to touch that whole backfield.
No.
That's a backfield that always lives on everybody's benches. Like all the players are distributed to all the fantasy owners' benches
Someday.
and none of them ever start. It's like one guy's got Mac, one guy's got somebody asked this. Let me throw it out there. Keep trade cut right now. Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead, James White.
Ooh.
That's so stupid. I think you have to keep Sony Michel, trade James White, and cut Rex Burkhead.
Sorry, that was all the Burkhead owners I'm speaking on behalf of.
Oh, I'm one of them. And it's a really difficult question.
I don't think I've ever seen this level of sadness in your eyes because you're contemplating the question and it's genuinely making you sad.
Because I'm trying to answer it, think about it honestly, and not just be like, I got Rex Burkhead, I love him, let's play Rex Burkhead. But I'm not to the point where I'm willing to cut Burkhead.
No,
But
nobody
if
should
you're
be.
playing keep trade cut though, what are you doing? You got to do it. Mike.
I'm keeping James White.
I don't blame you
James
there.
White. And who's got more value between Rex Burkhead and Sony to trade?
I don't
Probably
want to
Sony right now.
I don't want to leave the matchup without talking about Ajayi's situation. Ajayi and Darren Sproles both sidelined on Friday's practice, not trending the right direction. Corey Clement, wheels up.
Yeah, 100%. It's so funny how things can change because a couple weeks ago after week 1,
cut him.
Corey Clement was
him in one league.
a cut to me.
Because he's doing his monster stomps.
He was
juking nobody in the backfield.
He looked terrible, and he
was really excited.
And he was barely utilized. But then when the two starters ahead of you go down, that usually helps
That's
your stock.
opportunity.
And he is a must start this week. I believe, isn't he your start of the week, Mike?
He is. I'm super excited for Corey this weekend.
The 1-0-1 Packers take on the 1-1 Redskins in Washington. Redskins are 3-point underdogs at home, 45.5 point over-under. Aaron Rodgers showed he can play with one leg again last week. This means good things for Devonta Adams, but what does it mean for Randall Cobb and Geronimo Allison? I would start Jimmy Graham over both of those players by a lot. Jimmy had a very nice week last week, and the Packers should have won that game. The call on Clay Matthews was trash.
It was definitely questionable.
Great comeback by Minnesota. It feels like Minnesota won the game, even though they tied. It feels that way. But looking at the Packers for fantasy, what do we expect from this game, and who do you feel confident in starting? I mean, the Redskins have been they've been a pretty good defense this year.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly looked good against Arizona. The question is, was that them or was that Arizona?
I can tell you.
They contained Andrew Luck and the Colts. Yeah, they did lose, but that was more on the offense. So,
yeah, the name that sticks out to me is the one that you already brought up, which is Jimmy Graham. Not only was he utilized last week, but this is a perfect matchup for him. The Washington Redskins have been atrocious against tight ends. This is part of why going into week 1, we were higher on Ricky Seals-Jones, who had the opportunity and could have beaten them, but the Arizona Cardinals and more specifically Sam Bradford and the offensive line were so horrifically bad that they couldn't move the ball at all. That being said, you look last week, Eric Ebron got a touchdown. It's not like they were great against the tight end, so you can't really look at this year's numbers based on week 1 and week 2. I'm looking more at last year's roster, for how Washington played against the tight end. I think Jimmy Graham's primed for a big day.
And if we're talking secondary pass catchers for the Packers, the one I would be interested in is Geronimo. He's reliable. He's consistent. He gets deeper targets than Randall Cobb. And we know he's flashed. He can hit the big play.
Yeah.
So that's where I would go if I have to choose. And that's Jimmy Graham is certainly a good play this weekend.
Now, what about for the Redskins? I mean, I've got Jordan Reed as my start of the week.
I love Chris Thompson each and every week. I've tried to trade for him in every league I got him. I mean, every league I can, because I think Thompson's role is the most consistent, secure, the talent plus opportunity for Chris Thompson. I think he's going to be a top 15 guy year until he gets hurt.
Sure.
Which I'm not going to say is a foregone conclusion. I know he's been banged up before, but he's dominant.
He is. And, yeah, you were in on Chris Thompson. He made me nervous, man. So
yeah.
I have to admit, I have no shares of Chris Thompson, and I'm sad about it. I'm sad because the man – do you know how many yards he's averaging? How many receiving yards he's averaging a week?
Probably like 80. I don't know.
No, it's a great number.
50?
Oh!
55.
55.
Very nice.
Do we have it? Is it ready? Sorry. Hey!
We may or may not have had a complete and utterly catastrophic destruction of our soundboard this morning.
Yeah.
Right before the show.
Cannot confirm nor deny.
No, but I will tell you that we may or may not have access to about 7 total drops. So don't say anything about certain players. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Like Smeven Ness Bumptious.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Bumptious.
All right.
Bumptious.
Yeah, Chris Thompson's a great play.
Adrian Peterson. He's got the backfield to himself. Do you feel like you can start him this week? I'd start him over Jamaal Williams in the same game.
I would not.
I would start him over him to the point of a waterbet with Jason
Jamaal
Moore.
Williams in the same game.
Jamaal Williams, Adrian Peterson, waterbet?
I would do it. You want to do it?
I would do it as well.
Oh.
Waterbet.
I love it because that's kind of a roundabout way of betting on Aaron Jones against you, which is great. It's great.
And that's what I want to be a part of.
So anything else you want to talk about in this one?
You cannot trust any of the Washington pass catchers. Paul Richardson is banged up. I am the eternal optimist on Josh Doxson, who got 7 targets this past week, so I'm not adding him, but I've got an eye on him. I want to see what happens as the year evolves.
Chargers 1-1 taking on the 2-0 Rams. The Rams right now, they look pretty darn good. -7 is the line. Rams are they're playing great. 48-point over/under. What do you expect from this matchup? Do you think that the Chargers have a chance of challenging the Rams in this game?
I do. I think the line is pretty high. I get it.
Battle.
Yeah,
for Los Angeles.
The Chargers, their defense has not been what we had hoped for, but with some injuries, especially with Joey Bosa missing all the time, it certainly makes sense. But Phillip Rivers and company, I think they can keep pace, slightly behind the pace of the Rams, but I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game.
So the must-starts are Rivers, Gordon.
Yes.
Now, Rivers is a must-start in light of the matchup? He's not for me.
No, Rivers is not a must-start here. Over the course of the season, he will end up as a quarterback 1, but he has his matchups where usually he'll be quarterback 15, 16, 18, and this is that type of a matchup. Could he need to keep up and have a good game? Absolutely. But could he really have a hard time against a great Los Angeles Rams defense? Certainly. So I think high floor, low ceiling. No, low floor, high ceiling. And, I'm probably not starting Phillip Rivers. I'm a little bit scared of him, but Melvin Gordon and Keenan Allen are must-starts, of course, and I don't really want to touch another Charger.
Antonio Gates only played 11 snaps last week. There's a chance Antonio Gates is just not even on the roster for the entirety of the season. For those wondering, Hunter Henry is still eligible to return this year. There have been positive reports about his recovery, and so this was a game where if Hunter Henry was active, you'd be all about him because the Rams, if anything, they've given up points to the tight end position because they don't give them up anywhere else. It's a matter of somewhere points have to come. Jared Goff, he ranks 3rd right now behind Fitzpatrick and Mahomes in yards per attempt. He's got a solid 65% completion percentage. He's been hyper efficient. Now, they haven't had to put a game on his shoulders yet, but Brandon Cooks is my start of the week. I love him in this matchup. Where else are you finding value? Gurley's a must start. Would you rather start Goff or Rivers in this game?
Rivers.
Yeah, I would still go with Rivers personally.
Temperature check on Austin Eckler. He's averaged 112 yards from scrimmage in the first 2 weeks as the backup to Melvin Gordon.
At this point, I think he should be rostered, certainly, especially with Melvin Gordon missing a practice here or there. This isn't the matchup I would want to play him in, though.
Yeah.
All right, the Bears take on the Cardinals in Arizona. The Cardinals are 5.5-point home underdogs, and the fan base is weeping out here. 38-point over-under. I do think that the Cardinals can contain Mitch Trubisky in Arizona. This is going to be a low-scoring affair. I don't think we're going to see much life out of the Cardinal offense against a very strong Bears defensive front. So where is the fantasy value?
I agree that the Cardinals can contain Mitch Trubisky because it doesn't take a lot to contain him. His coaching staff really
just like a
contains
plastic
him.
bag could do it.
But I strongly believe the Bears will dominate this matchup. Jordan Howard is going to eat. He is going to feast. Like he's stopping at the Old Country Buffet in this matchup.
If Adrian Peterson could do it against the Cardinals,
he will eat until he vomits, and that's where I see the points coming.
He's vomiting fantasy points.
Yes, if you have been let down by Jordan Howard thus far for your fantasy teams, which you should not have.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Trust me, the temperature check on Jordan Howard, people are a little disappointed. You're going to be very, very happy after Jordan Howard.
Matt Nagy came out. He said that he needed to get more carries to Jordan Howard. Seems like I'll have an opportunity in this game. I don't think anybody expects it to be a barn burner.
Really seems like he did, in fact, train under Andy Reid. And it has the victory, and it's like, man, I should have got the ball to to Jordan Howard a lot more. This is very reminiscent of Jamaal Charles. David Johnson is someone everyone is concerned with right now. We get a lot of start-sit questions. Should I bench David Johnson? And I am a firm no. You do not bench him, not just because of the name or the talent. There was one telling thing that happened. I was listening to an interview with Sam Bradford, which there's nobody – you hear coach talk, and head coach Steve Wilkes was saying, we need to get David Johnson the slot more. Well, that's great, but, he's a defensive head coach. He's not the offensive coordinator. He's not setting the formations. But to hear Sam Bradford point blank be asked, why was your matchup? Why have you performed so poorly? And his response was, when he looked at the film, on 1st and 10, he's trying to do too much, and he's like, I just got to hit David. I just got to check it down to David, get some points, put us into second and short. He said it like 3 times about how he just needs to.
Did he say get some points? Has he got David in his fantasy team?
He just kept saying he needs to check the ball down to David Johnson, and that's exactly right. You need to use him in the passing game. Now, preferably I'd like some downfield, not just check downs, but I think he'll be involved and he'll have a bounce-back game this week.
Now, guys, I need to bring up Trey Boo Boo. We were big Trey Boo Boo fans.
Yeah.
He did score last week, saved the week, only 4 for 20, had the touchdown. Some signs of life target-wise for Burton, but, what are your expectations this week for Trey Boo Boo? I mean, the Cardinals thus far through 2 weeks, they've given up a lot of points to the tight end position. Do we expect Trey Boo Boo to get it done this week?
Jason?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of concern with most tight ends out there, but you have to stick with Trey Burton right now because when you look at targets, routes run, depth of route run, all of these other metrics that, and you look at them for all tight ends, you go, Trey Burton is not in the worst situation here. I don't love his quarterback, and this isn't despite the fact that, Arizona's given up points. Jordan Reed got a touchdown week 1. Last year, the defense was pretty good against tight ends, so it's one of those situations where I'm reluctantly playing Trey Burton.
And Allen Robinson, who he took a nice step this past week, launched himself up to 14 targets, 83 yards, 10 for 83. That's a decent fantasy output for Allen Robinson, but
he's been a career, 14-yard a catch guy. So far with Mitch, it's down to 10 a catch. That's the concern. But, Lude, you can't argue with the target totals.
Yeah.
21 targets through 2 games?
Yeah, so I'm still comfortable playing Allen Robinson, even if he's
not afraid of Patrick Peterson.
He's going to see Peterson, but I think the target volume will be there.
I think you can also start both defenses in this matchup for fantasy. Arizona at home against Mitch Trubisky, you can get them off of the waivers, and they'll be a fine
They'll probably
play.
Turn him over a couple times.
Yes, they'll sack him a couple times, turn the ball over a couple times. I expect this to be a very low-scoring game.
3-0. The Cowboys, 1-1, take on the Seahawks up in Seattle, and they're only 1.5-point favorites.
That's crazy.
At home.
It's not crazy.
It's nuts.
The Cowboys stink.
41.5-point over-under. Dallas with Dak and Zeke and nothing else right now for fantasy. I mean, are you starting anybody outside those two? Are you even starting Dak? Probably not.
No, I'm not starting Dak on the road.
So it's Zeke and no one else.
That is accurate.
Let's say someone forced you by torture to roster another Cowboy. It would be who? Or would you just go down? You would just refuse it and then just.
I'll take my consequence.
You'll take your consequence.
Kill me.
Kill me. I think it'd be. Look, Deontay Thompson looked more involved than anyone last week.
Yeah, that's probably who it would be. Honestly, the reason I think that the line is perfectly fine is because the blueprint is there for how to beat the Seattle Seahawks, and there's a mirror match thing happening for me in this particular matchup. Last week we saw the Dallas Cowboys put a ferocious pass rush onto Eli Manning and the New York Giants and his terrible offensive line. We saw the Chicago Bears do the same exact thing to Seattle. That's why I think the line is not bad. I believe that Russell Wilson is going to be under duress for the vast majority of this game, just like he was this past week. Dallas up front on their defense has enough talent to get it done.
I actually don't feel like this game's going to be much different than the Cardinal game.
Yeah.
The Bear-Cardinal game.
Come back, Doug Baldwin.
Yeah, if Doug Baldwin is here, this is a completely different circumstance, but the running backs aren't going to get anything going. This stinks to be talking about this game because I don't want to play anybody. Zeke. That's it. That's the only player in this matchup that I really want to play.
I am 100% fine playing Russell Wilson. I think it's been overblown what happened in Chicago. He is always a consistent fantasy producer, and if he's got a run, that's good for fantasy. He'll get scores. He's at home. I'm fine with Russell.
Okay. What about Big Montana? You going back? You going back to Big Montana?
Pro move. Andy got it in.
Big Montana, garbage time touchdown, saved everything last week.
I believe he's the first rookie tight end with scores, and
we're talking about Will Disley.
Yeah, Will Disley, Big Montana. The moose is loose. I mean, do you just are there moose flames here? I mean, I'm wearing a pink moose shirt. Is he a pink moose?
No.
What is he? What is he? That is the greatest Will Disley question. Will Disley, what is he?
Here's what Will Disley is.
That's who he is.
Will Disley is a placeholder for Ed Dixon. That's what I believe. He's a necessary piece in an offense that needs pieces right now. He'll have a few catches. He'll have yards. Honestly, I believe you can start him over some other bad options. If you wanted to say who has a better chance at 50 yards, Trey Burton or Will Disley, I would go Burton, but it's a conversation that is worthy to be had. And
not one we expected before the year. Now, if you ask who is Will Disley to Russell Wilson, his quote yesterday, he's a baller.
Oh, shot caller.
He said he can make a lot of plays. He reminds me of a young reminds me of a young Jason Witten, how he sees the game, runs route, catches the ball every time you throw him the ball. And, look, I think he's the next best start.
On Seattle?
Other than Lockett.
Okay.
Wilson, Lockett, Disley.
I struggle to argue.
Sunday night football in Detroit. The 0-2 Lions. Matt Patricia has to face his former head coach and Bill Belichick. The Patriots go to Detroit, trying to set them on a 0-3 path to the NFL playoffs.
When coaches have to come back and face Bill Belichick,
doesn't work out.
Things generally don't work out for that team.
I remember, who am I thinking of? Coached
the Jets coach?
No, I'm thinking of their offensive coordinator right now.
Okay. Wow.
McDaniels.
Yes.
When
Josh
he coached
Denver,
he won that game. But
it was
a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to talk about in this one. By the way,
Mangini.
Every single season since 2013, an 0-2 team has made the playoffs. However, your chances of making the one. The chances of making the playoffs are 12% when you are at 0-2. The Lions, what are their odds of going to 0-3 here?
Very high.
Yeah, I would put them in the 90 percentile range.
I think that the Patriots, with the head coach situation for the Lions, even though the Lions are at home, I think the Patriots have to get this win at 1-1, and they'll do it.
So let's try to work through the Patriots running back situation. They're heavily favored, which James White, his role it's secured, but it also gets elevated when the Patriots are trying to catch up, as we saw against Jacksonville. It was all James White. I'm not expecting that. I don't think any of us are expecting that. So are you playing James White? Let's start there. You're in PPR with James White is always implied. Whenever we mention this guy's name, we are talking about PPR.
Yeah, I think you can start him. He's going to have enough. They don't need to play catch-up in this game.
What about Mustard?
But it doesn't come on, man. It doesn't matter.
I was looking for the rim shot, but we don't got the drop.
He will get enough utilization just in the standard offense in a full PPR league to be a flex play. The running back that I think clearly has the highest upside here is Sony Michel. If they are winning the game, if they are handling their business easily, this is the perfect opportunity to see what they have in their first-round pick, to try to take up clock, I think near the goal line, see what you have against the Lions in Sony Michel. So he's the guy in this game I'm going to be watching the closest from the Patriots.
All right, Chris Hogan, we are in agreement that we like him to bounce back.
I love Chris Hogan in this matchup.
So what about Philip Dorsett, who's
I don't love Chris Hogan.
Okay.
No, I know. I believe we talked about this earlier.
Yeah,
this week
that's all I was saying.
Mike said we agree.
I was sorry.
You're talking about you and Jason?
Yes, that is correct. Andy does not like Chris.
I just don't like 4 catches on the season. It freaks me out, man.
I don't blame you that it freaks me out as well.
Like, I'd play Amari Cooper over Chris Hogan.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that. But Philip Dorsett, and this is in the context that Josh Gordon is inactive. He's seen 7 targets in both of the games this season.
Hard pass.
7 for 66, 5 for 44.
Nah.
Okay.
No.
I completely agree.
Okay.
Hard pass.
Who gets Darius Slay in this game?
Probably Hogan.
Yeah.
Is Slay okay?
Slay okay?
Nice.
Yeah. Look, you're starting Gronk.
Yeah.
You're locked and loaded. On the other side of the ball, Detroit probably playing catch up. High over under. Kerryon Johnson, Theo Riddick.
By the way, Darius Slay, he's still
concussed.
He's still dealing with the concussion.
So that'll make an impact.
He's trending out right now.
Golden Tate, 13 targets in both weeks, 28 on the year.
It's been a monster,
and that's third most in the league. That's kind of guaranteed production. Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay. I mean, Matt Stafford's probably a good play in this game. At home, coming back. I mean, he's going to garbage time his way to fantasy victories.
Absolutely. He'll throw 2 early picks and then have 3 late touchdowns, and you'll be just fine starting most all of the pass-catching options. I think, unfortunately, Theo Riddick is a fine play in PPR. I'd probably Theo Riddick is pretty much identical to me as James White in this matchup. One will be coming back from a deficit. One will be creating the deficit.
is this the week?
No.
Jason, call the shot.
No, I will call the shot. I don't believe this is the week. Now, he's getting more and more utilization. You just look at his carries, his yards, his receptions, his targets. The first 2 weeks, they've increased. I think they'll increase to the point where if you need to flex him, I'm actually flexing him this week in our listener league. I think you can, but I don't expect a huge game from him here. He's just, a running back. I'm hoping he's a back-end running back, too.
If Baker Mayfield is the starter and then Kerryon Johnson becomes the starter, is your life just –
I have completed.
Okay. We got to move on. The Steelers, the Bucks, Monday Night Football. We get to watch Fitzmagic on the primetime screen.
I'm very excited for this game.
It's going to be a lot of fun because the Steelers' defense is atrocious right now. And, look, they might get Hayden back at corner, but that doesn't really matter in the past few years. And the Bucks' defense has been trash as well. So this could be a barn burner. 54-point over-under. The Bucks are 1.5-point dogs at home. Despite the strong start, I think people are expecting Antonio Brown to, get the grease, so to speak. Does that impact your view of Juju at all, or is he just wheels up for those two?
Yeah, those two are full force ahead. They're going to have a great game. I mean, I don't think that there's a player on either side of the ball that is a normal consideration for starting that I don't want to start. The only guy that I'm questioning, and I know he's your start of the week, Jesse James, I question. I might not start him there, but obviously tight ends are just trash. You're firing up Antonio. You're firing up Juju. You're firing up James Conner. You're firing up Ben Roethlisberger on that side of the ball. I'm happy with Fitzpatrick. I don't want anything to do with the running game, or if you can even talk about that. I don't think they have one in Tampa.
Is this if
they don't?
If Ronald Jones is right now sitting on your waiver wire,
get him.
Should you add him?
This would be the week because I think he'll be active this week. If he's not active after basically not having a running game, and I guess that could happen. You're 2-0. Like what? It's working. If it ain't broke, but if you need running back help, and your team has a burner spot, then Ronald Jones is worth at least looking to pick up. But
he's a great Sunday morning ad, and then if nothing happens, if he's inactive or doesn't do anything, you just drop him for your waiver wire guy.
If you play in an IR league, almost every week you've got someone that's ruled out. Doug Baldwin will be ruled out, and Sunday morning I'll move him to IR, and I always pick up. And this is a tip for everybody: don't waste your time picking up a wide receiver off the waiver wire in that situation, because their situation can't drastically change. Pick up a Chase Edmonds.
I don't know. I picked up Callaway last week.
Pick up Chase Edmonds. Pick up Ronald Jones.
Rod
pick up
Smith.
somebody who is a backup that an injury ahead of them could just change everything.
Yeah, it could save you a lot of fab and give you that steal on Sunday morning. On the other side, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yep, good.
All three wideouts: Evans, Jackson, Godwin.
Yep.
And then O.J. Howard. How do you feel about him? I mean, Cameron Brate is an afterthought. He's bottom of the waiver wire right now. So O.J. Howard, though, with the explosive play capability and the weaknesses at tight end throughout the fantasy landscape, he's kind of he's a player I want to start, but I know the realities of limited total touches, and it just I hope I capture it. I hope I can capture it.
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of these garbage tight ends today that are just I don't really want to start. Do you start Will Disley? What do you do? I'm starting O.J. Howard over all of those people because there's murkiness to all the situations. So why not take the most talented human, right? He was drafted in the first round as one of the best prospects in a decade at the position. Now he's the guy that's kind of taking over the role over Cameron Brate. Yes, Ryan Fitzpatrick is not usually known for throwing to the tight end, but O.J. Howard can overcome the lack of targets in that situation, make a beast touchdown grab, make an 80-yard run down the sideline. So I'll take my shot.
Over Ebron?
If Jack Doyle's out, no.
Okay.
If Jack Doyle's in, yes, I would start him over Jack Doyle.
He's a fringe tight end one right now to me.
Me as well.
Howard. So not a lot of tight ends offer you 80-yard touchdowns.
Nope.
It's just one of those things that it's kind of nice to have it in your repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on. Let's get into the dose.
The Daily Dose, brought to you by Draft.
Every Friday we do a daily dose, get you ready for that DFS play this weekend. A reminder, Mike's DFS podcast, the Fantasy Footballers DFS podcast with Chris Meany, Ben Cummins, and Mike. It's live.
Yeah,
it's live today. It'll get you ready. It's a little nice preparation time.
Yeah, absolutely. So today on Draft,
we're doing something special.
We are going to go with a 5 quarterback matchup. I mean, this is so no longer will we be playing running backs. Who needs them? Wide receivers, get out of my face.
Tight ends, even though I rode you to victory last week for the second week in a row.
Yeah, Jason's on a hot streak. I've got the second pick. Andy's got first.
That sucks because there's 2 clear-cut quarterbacks to grab this week, and I don't get either of them because I'm on the turn.
Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes is my number 1 pick this week, staying in the Flames. We talked yesterday. Look, this is his first home game.
Yep.
First opportunity, and that game's going to be interesting.
And I'm going to take just reliable Golden Boy.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Tom Brady against Detroit. I think he's going to have a very fine day.
Yeah, that makes sense. Look, I'm just going. I'm at the the third, so I get 2 picks in a row, and I'm going to take huge upside guys: Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton. I mean, look, either one can always win you a week, and I'll need them against your guys'.
I'm taking the biggest upside. The guy who's been the best fantasy quarterback in the history of starting fantasy football seasons. My bearded brethren. I'm taking Ryan Fitzpatrick. Let's go.
I don't blame you. I got back-to-back picks. I'm going to go Big Ben. I think it's a monster week for Big Ben. And then Deshaun Watson, my start of the week. Got to draft him here in the Daily Dose if I have that kind of confidence with him against the Giants.
And I'm going to take Drew Brees on the way back. The over-under of the Atlanta-New Orleans game is ridiculous. I know they hit the under as we highlighted earlier in our matchups breaking it down, but I'm going for it.
It makes me really sad because I was really hoping Drew Brees got to me there. I will take my start of the week in that same matchup against him, Matt Ryan. And then, look, I know that Kirk Cousins' ceiling is capped a little bit in Buffalo. But if at the end of the first quarter he has 3 passing touchdowns, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised. So that's my 2-pack.
I'm getting a little crazy here with this middle pick.
I'm surprised you didn't take your start of the week. You left him to me.
Yeah, I'm going for it. With Carson Wentz in his first game back, let's see what he can do.
I'm going to take Jimmy Garoppolo in that shootout in Kansas City, and then I'm going to do a little baseline protection here with Jared Goff to wrap up my starting 5: Mahomes, Roethlisberger, Watson, Garoppolo, Goff.
I do not mind that. And right here, oh man, this is a really tough call, and I'm struggling on who I want to go with because I'm not taking Russell Wilson. I'm just going to grab Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't go Matthew Stafford. He's a guy that I think has
it was
huge
between
upside.
Luck and Stafford, but
that being said, I already knew who I was going to take because I knew you don't want Russell. I believe in Russell. I'm going to take him. My team, it's one of those where the matchups aren't the best, but with Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan, and Russell Wilson, I am very confident that I will win for the 3rd time in a row.
Sure, and there's nothing safe about my team at all. Tom Brady, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Drew Brees, Carson Wentz, Andrew Luck.
All right. Well, this will be fun. It's fun to draft all quarterbacks.
Yep.
We talk them down so much in the draft season. It's fun to draft them and actually have something on the line this week. So.
Yeah, so, hey, everybody, good luck this weekend. Win your matchups. Play with us over at draft.com/ballers.
And Mike will be live on everywhere.
On Sunday
morning.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.